Good morning and welcome to Coffee with a Kick. It's good to see you on the other side of Christmas. Soon we'll see you on the other side of New Year's, but not quite that. Not quite yet. Not quite that. Not quite yet. Instead, today we'll bring you the predictions for this Matchday 20 coming up here today, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. And Tuesday. They like to spread them out for these match days here. And then we'll bring you a recap episode covering all the holiday, Boxing Day, Christmas, New Year's matches next week. So this one is just the predictions for this upcoming weekend. And we will go ahead and just get right into it. Why not? Before you do that, I'm not going to forget. Why don't you go ahead and like and subscribe? Hit that, ringing that bell helps us out so much. I have not seen any new comments come in since somebody said sup. So we will continue on with the episode at this point. First one up, Luton Town and Chelsea do get out here 7:30 Eastern time today. Both the teams having some success recently, surprisingly.
Yeah, Luton's been on the, I think they have a draw and 2 straight wins in their last 9. So it's pretty good. So Luton's feeling good. Chelsea also doing okay. So this could be an interesting one. I think Luton escapes with a 2-1 victory.
You think Luton comes through with a 2-1 victory? Boy, I don't know if
They play pretty well at home, so it's at their small ground. So I can see them doing it.
They do hold serve at Kenilworth Road pretty well. So I just don't know if I trust them to continue with the momentum. Is my problem. I think it's a 2-2 draw more like with Chelsea. They're finding their footing somewhat. I mean, they're dropping games as often as they're picking them up in the last recent month or so. But Luton Town, I don't trust to take a full 3. I don't know. They just beat Newcastle at home. It's tough. We're in the middle of the season. Matches are going crazy. I'm going with the 2-2 draw for Luton Town and Chelsea. And then in Villa Park in Birmingham, we've got Aston Villa taking on Burnley. Aston Villa misstep over the last 2 matches. Should have come out of more points than 1 out across those 2, you would expect. Burnley continues to be inconsistent. I mean, they've gotten some points recently, but I don't know. I don't think that they continue through. I think Villa rights the ship here against Burnley, takes advantage of the relegation side like they should have against Sheffield United, and take this one at home as well. So they're at home. I think they take this 3-0 against Burnley.
Yeah, I also have 3-0. The Man U loss, pretty tough for Villa because they were up. But yeah, I think they take their frustration out on Burnley. I think Burnley will still have more possession, as they always do. But I think they will get annihilated in every other facet of the game.
Yeah, it'll be even worse than the away fixture when Villa beat Burnley 3-1 back in August. That takes us back to Selhurst Park there. Crystal Palace versus Brentford. Both these teams 14 and 15 on the table respectively, separated by a single point. But Brentford does have a game in hand, so they've got a point and a game in hand. So this one's pretty important for Crystal Palace for that mid-table fixture. Neither are coming in on great shape. I mean, Brentford just got smashed by my Wolves, which is not letting 4 in for my Wolves is not where you want to be. How do you think this one goes?
I have it as a 2-1 Palace victory. I think Crystal Palace is the better side. I mean, Brentford, 4 games skid. I think that goes to 5. I don't see that. I think Crystal Palace is a better attacking team, and I think that's going to be the difference. So 2-1 at Selhurst Park.
So disappointing because Brentford did very well in the first quarter of the season or so. They looked much more.
Yeah, I mean, they were like top 5 after 3 or 4 games, and then.
And like you said, I mean, they've lost 4 of their last 5, and the win right before then was over Luton Town at home at the beginning of December. So, yeah, I think 2-1 feels about right for this. Yeah, I think 2-1 feels about right for this. I think that Palace get the deal done, get back on top of Brentford, and try to just make sure that they maintain separation from that bottom of the table conversation. Just want to make sure that they're staying up, and Brentford's got a game in hand. So granted, it is against City that they'll have to do, so it's not a great game to have in hand. Speaking of City, at 10 a.m., Man City does host Sheffield United. I don't think that this one's close. I think this one's a very... I mean, even with injuries and even with absences, I think they still take this 4-1. At Etihad, I think they're pretty safe. City.
Yeah, supposedly this could be the injury return dates for several guys like Haaland, Doku, De Bruyne maybe. I don't think they'll play since it is Sheffield. I think they'll sit them again. But
yeah.
If they end up playing, it'd be pretty nice. Yeah, City, after winning our last match, I think we're feeling pretty good after coming back. So I think we win 4-0.
4-0.
It's at the Etihad, so I don't see it being close.
Yeah, if it was a different team that you're playing just before the international break, I might see them coming back. But since it's Sheffield United, I think you say, okay, I know you guys could come back here, just take the international break, make sure we're fully ready to go, and then we'll lock in for the last half of the season, just under half of the season, the long winter stretch when we'll have to do some knockouts for Champions League intermixed with our Premier League action. So I think that I don't think it affects the outcome of this game because I don't think Sheffield United has it, but we'll see. We'll see. Going to Molineux Stadium in Wolverhampton. My Wolves take on Everton at 10 a.m. as well. My Wolves on a bit of a tear here recently. I mean, since we lost 3-0 to West Ham, we've got 2 wins in a row. Granted, it's over not very good teams, but we're all the way up in 11th at this point. And Everton has lost 2 in a row, as well as us winning 2 in a row. So I think that this obviously leads to the conclusion that we're going to lose 1-0. That's what I'm going with, a 1-0 loss for Everton. For my Wolves against Everton.
Yeah, I think it being at the Molineux, that changes my perception. I think it's a 1-1 draw. I think maybe they lose if it's at Goodison Park, but I think at home they've been pretty solid at the Molineux. So I could see it even being a Wolves win. I'll go 1-1 draw just to be safe.
1-1 draw. You know what that happens then. If you pick my Wolves to draw, they're going to win. So hopefully we're both wrong. For my sake, I hope we're both wrong because I had them losing. Then to Nottingham Forest to wrap up Saturday at 12:30 at the City Ground in Nottingham. Nottingham Forest hosts Manchester United, who they can't figure out who they are, can they? Manchester United. They drop 2-0 to West Ham. They beat Aston Villa. They draw Liverpool. They lose to Bournemouth. They're just all over the place, and yet somehow do maintain 7th position up at the top, near the top of the table.
Yeah, Man U, I mean, I think they got really lucky when it came to their last match. I mean, Garnacho showed out. I don't think it happens in this one. I think Nottingham takes it 2-1. I think they end up beating Man U. And yeah, I don't know. How Man U is, I think they're in 7th. How they're still in 7th is amazing to me. But yeah, I think Nottingham takes it 2-1.
I think this is 2-0 for Nottingham. I think that they carried through that momentum from beating Newcastle. They are at home, so that does help things out. And Manchester United, they can't seem to string 2 games together in a row where they're playing top tier football. So I just think they got their boost on the last one, coming back against Villa. This one, they're going to take that step back, lose to Nottingham Forest. And listen, Nottingham Forest will always take the points, especially when they're down there in 16th. That is getting in the danger zone. So they will be pressing hard to get at least a point. I mean, I think they get the full 3, but at least a point out of this. That wraps up Saturday action. So then we move over to the 31st, New Year's Eve, with 2 9 a.m. matches. Fulham hosts Arsenal at Craven Cottage is our first one that we'll cover. Both of these are London matches, and in fact, the first one is a London derby. Second one, not so much, but it's still in London.
Yeah. Yeah, I think this one's a high-scoring affair. I think it ends 3-3. I think Fulham haven't been scoring as much as they were in the previous few matches.
Don't know what happened.
Arsenal looks vulnerable. I mean, as we saw on the last match day, losing to West Ham, I think they're vulnerable. So I think it's 3-3. Arsenal has to come back and draw. And I think Fulham plays a pretty solid match.
See, I agree with the draw. I just don't think Arsenal has 3 goals in them. They have not shown that recently since they played Luton Town back at the beginning of December. So I just don't think Arsenal has that much in them. Fulham, we know they do. Have not shown it these past 3 match days. The Newcastle one was a little bit fluky because they had the first half red card. But going scoreless against Burnley and Bournemouth, not a good look, especially when you had Burnley at home. I think this is a 0-0 draw, a 0-0 London derby here for Arsenal and Fulham. If Arsenal continues after reaching the top of the mountain for that 1 week, I think they're at top of the table for 1 week. They have not been able to put it together since then. And the slide continues, letting Liverpool live up there at the top of the table. We'll get to them in a second, though. Next up is Spurs hosting Bournemouth at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. Spurs just got pretty well handled against Brighton. But Bournemouth, it's not as bad as picking for West Ham, but it's not a great track record that I have with them. I think this is going to come down to, do we know if Maddison's coming back anytime soon? Do we know how long he's out?
Looks like his expected return is after the international.
After the international,
so it won't be this match.
Yeah, so I think this is still a victory for Tottenham. But it wouldn't be as big as it would otherwise. I think this is a 2-1 victory. And Bournemouth gets like a late 82nd minute goal that kind of makes it a match, but it peters out in the end.
Yeah, Bournemouth, they've been on a tear. 13 points out of the last 15, I believe. They won their last 3 or 4 in the Premier League. So I think they keep it up. I think it's a 2-2 draw, but I think that's a really good result at Tottenham.
Definitely for Bournemouth.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Bournemouth's got a game in hand as well. All right, and then that finish up Sunday. We go to Monday, New Year's Day action. A pretty decent match here. We got Liverpool versus Newcastle United at Anfield at 3 p.m. What do you think we've got going on here for Liverpool and Newcastle?
Yeah, I think it doesn't look like any of the people who are injured will be back.
For Newcastle? Yeah, that's not
so. I don't know. Newcastle's been on a skid. I don't think it changes before the international break. I think Liverpool win 3-1, and I think it's not even that close. I think Liverpool handles it.
I think it's another 2-0 for Liverpool. It could be worse, similar like you. I think that Liverpool will have some good chances, but Newcastle's goalkeeper's not injured, I don't think. But I think that it could be a lot worse, but they held it to 2-0 for Liverpool over Newcastle United. And then to my favorite team to pick for, West Ham United hosts. When did West Ham get up into 6th? What's going on here?
2 straight 2-0 wins. I mean, they're rocking. over a really solid team. So, I mean,
Yeah.
as we've discussed, West Ham loves to play to their competition. So they'll 0-0 draw Luton, but they'll beat Arsenal 2-0. So,
At Arsenal. So, I mean, at Anfield. Yeah, they are just, in Brighton, them as well. They've been very streaky this season. And they're currently on they beat Tottenham 4-2 at BHA.
Yeah.
That's the decider here for me. They're not at the Amex. They're not at the Amex. This is you know what? I'm actually going to go for the same result as last time. A 3-1 victory for West Ham United.
wow.
Just this time, West Ham's at home.
I think West Ham keep up the 2-0 trend and they win this one 2-0.
Oh.
I think their defense has been playing red hot. Brighton has been streaky, and we've seen that if they can't get a goal within the first 15, 20 minutes, for some reason, they just shut off. It's like they can't do anything the rest of the game. So I think West Ham get 2 second half goals.
Really?
To win 2-0.
Well, that would be interesting, and we will see how that all shakes out here this weekend. Be sure to join us next week. Probably it'll be, Thursday when we'll put out this recap episode. I think that's probably safe. A Thursday.
Sure.
We might do a Wednesday. We'll see. TBD. To be determined. To be announced, I'll say.
Will be announced.
To be announced. But in the meantime, until we get to next week and we get to our recap episode, why don't you go ahead and grab your coffee, watch some soccer, and we will see you next week. Waheri.